NBA media days almost always get a bit weird, as teams strive to create a relaxed and upbeat atmosphere for players and media to interact as both parties prepare for the upcoming season via photo shoots and press conferences. As a result, the experience of the typical media day is equal parts entertaining and informative. Often, despite the formulaic nature of the event, media days can prove to be very memorable, whether that's because of an unexpected funny moment during the Q&A sessions, or a team choosing an iconic theme for the photo shoot portion of the event, or when a star player shows up and makes a bold statement without saying a single word, like in the case of Atlanta's Media Day in September 2021 when Trae Young showed up with a Hawks-themed WWE title belt. It was a very unsubtle gesture to his teammates, Hawks fans, and the entire league regarding just how serious he was about not just improving from the previous season, but winning the team's entire upcoming campaign for the 21-22 season. The previous season, Young had led the Hawks to the Eastern Conference Finals, but lost in 6 games to the eventual champions, the Bucks. So, it's understandable that he'd be looking for any added motivation for the upcoming season. For years, a championship belt gifted from the wrestling league, the WWE, has become a symbol of the ultimate success in the NBA. But, strangely, it wasn't the world's biggest wrestling league who was to thank for the unusual tradition. At least, not at first. Rather, the tradition dates back to the mid-2000s, and is all thanks to one man.
Both teams play hard. God bless and good night.
NBA champs. Come on! It's like clubbing baby seals.
Historically, celebratory belts were reserved for champions of combat sports. Officially, the first ever belt given out as a prize for accomplishments in the ring was in 1810 by King George III to bare-knuckle boxer Tom Cribb. After professional sports became more organized and profitable in the late 1800s, championship belts became commonplace in boxing, mixed martial arts, and wrestling, while cups and trophies were typically used to celebrate champions of team sports. And that's pretty much how it remained until 2004 when the Pistons shocked the basketball world and defeated the Lakers, who were looking for and expected to get their 4th championship in 5 years. Detroit were never really expected to put up much of a challenge, let alone win the series. Even after star player Karl Malone was injured in Game 3, the Lakers still seemed to have the edge on the inexperienced Pistons, as Los Angeles still had 3 future Hall of Famers on their roster in Shaq, Gary Payton, and Kobe Bryant. However, ultimately, Detroit took the series in 5 games, as their own big 3 of Rasheed, Ben Wallace, and Chauncey Billups rallied for the unlikely victory as they held the offense-oriented Lakers to 80 points or fewer in 3 of the 5 games, on their way to delivering Detroit their 3rd title in franchise history. But Rasheed, Ben, and Billups didn't do it alone, as they were backed by a deep roster made up of major role players such as Rip Hamilton and Tayshaun Prince. And to celebrate the historic achievement, Rasheed got himself and each and every one of his teammates a wrestling-inspired championship belt. Just before Detroit's regular season opener for the 04-05 season in November 2004, Rasheed surprised his current Pistons teammates who were on last season's championship team with the belts, which they all wore as they accepted their rings that same night. The belts were inscribed with the words World Heavyweight Wrestling Champion.
We had championship rings, we had banners, we also had world championship belts. Rasheed Wallace surprised all of his teammates and the entire coaching staff by having world championship belts, sort of like they have in wrestling, for each of the player. Each one was personalized.
The unusual gift was especially meaningful to Ben, who was passionate about wrestling because of its influence on his game. At the time, Ben had already won 2 of his 4 Defensive Player of the Year awards, which were the direct result of his style of play that earned him the reputation as one of the toughest players in NBA history. And a big reason for his aggressive style of play was because of his passion for wrestling that dated back to his childhood. It was later revealed that the unique gift was an idea Rasheed had had for years that dated back to 1995 when he first joined the league after he was selected with the 4th pick in that year's draft by the Bullets. Over the course of his 16 seasons in the NBA, Rasheed was notorious for his bad qualities, particularly when it came to controlling his emotions.
Bryant on the drive, gets to the basket. Lost it out of bounds. He is hot. He thought there was a foul and a technical.
But he was also celebrated by his teammates for his selflessness and for putting the team first. Fittingly, the unusual gift of the wrestling belts was another example of Rasheed's generosity that inadvertently forever altered NBA history and championship celebrations for years to come. After Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade, and LeBron James teamed up to form a super team in July 2010, many expected them to have an easy run to the title for the upcoming season. And, although the road to the finals wasn't exactly easy, the Heat did indeed have a relatively smooth run for the 10-11 postseason. However, upon reaching the finals, they were met with an unlikely challenger in the Mavs. The team were the exact opposite of the Heat, with a roster that was made up of just a single star player in Dirk Nowitzki, who was surrounded by numerous solid role players. Despite Dallas's depth, though, Miami were considered easy favorites. Still, the Mavs and their fans had faith that their team could overcome the Heat. One fan in particular had so much faith in the franchise that he decided to produce an item that symbolized the team's inevitable success in the series. The fan was Rami Rassus, and for Game 6 of the 2011 Finals, he got the chance to show off his work to the Mavs teams just before tip-off. And the thing that he had produced was a WWE-inspired Dallas-themed title belt. Fittingly, when the team actually closed out the series later that night, the team made it and Rassus part of their celebrations. Rassus had gotten the idea to make the belt just before the Western Conference Finals when the Mavs took on the Thunder. At the time, a number of NBA players had been celebrating with a title belt gesture, most notably Kevin Durant. The celebration was made famous in the NFL by star player Aaron Rodgers. Back in February 2011, the WWE had even actually given Rodgers that year's Super Bowl MVP a specially made belt after his team, the Green Bay Packers, won the 2010 season. Conversely, Rassus's belt was all his own work and money, which involved altering a replica WWE belt. All up, it cost him around $700 to produce. Reportedly, Mavs owner Mark Cuban later commissioned Rassus to produce more belts for the team. Given the popularity of the belt, Cuban even suggested that he might give out belts in place of rings to celebrate the Mavs' victory. Months after the Heat became back-to-back champions in June 2013, LeBron James presented each of his Heat teammates with WWE Championship belts in February 2014. At the time, the belts seemed especially fitting as the Heat looked like they were well on their way to fulfilling a three-peat later that year. The gifts were a result of a strange twist of fate that snowballed off of a throwaway, half-sarcastic tweet. LeBron was a lifelong fan of wrestling, so much so that just a few months earlier, back in December 2019, he'd received a belt as a present for his 29th birthday. Shortly before the day, LeBron saw LaShawn McCoy of the Philadelphia Eagles of the NFL celebrate his league rushing title by wearing a wrestling belt during a post-game interview. Curious, LeBron tweeted about it. Two wrestling legends, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and John Cena, responded to LeBron's tweet about how he could get one for himself. Evidently, Johnson gave, or at least lent, LeBron his own title belts. After receiving the unusual but fitting gift, LeBron teamed up with the WWE Chief Brand Officer Stephanie McMahon to also get belts for his teammates, which the company was happy to do, along with producing a belt specially made for LeBron. Like with Rashid's gift, each belt from the WWE was personalized, with extra attention given to Ray Allen's belt, which adorned the name Jesus Shuttleworth, in reference to his starring role in the 1998 film He Got Game.
Make you feel like a man now? Huh?
As fitting as it was, the gesture from LeBron and the WWE to gift the Heat with belated championship belts appears to have been genuinely organic and hastily put together. Conversely, when it came to Allen Iverson's belt, it was meticulously planned. Since the 70s, elaborate retirement gifts have become commonplace in the NBA. Many are just joke items that poke fun at the fact that the retiring player is old and effectively useless now. Sometimes, though, teams get creative with their gift ideas, and retiring players leave the game armed with legitimate but nevertheless unusual retirement presents. Shortly after LeBron and the Heat received their belts, Iverson had his jersey number added to the 76ers rafter in March 2014. Days before the ceremony, the 76ers tweeted that they would also be giving him a fitting but unusual retirement gift, in the style of a boxing championship belt. The gift was similar to what Rashid had made for his 2004 Pistons teammates. However, Iverson's was one of a kind, and arguably more fitting. As the belt itself stated, at just 6 feet and less than 170 pounds, Iverson is widely considered to be the best pound-for-pound player that the NBA has ever seen, and probably ever will see.
I always play with my heart. I play with my heart first. And I owe that to my teammates. I owe it to myself, the fans of Philadelphia, my coaching staff.
After Rodgers, LeBron, McCoy, and the Heat each got their own personal WWE title belts, other world-class athletes also wanted to celebrate their accomplishments with the item. Months after the entire Miami team got belts, Hunter Pence of the MLB's San Francisco Giants wanted to celebrate the team's World Series championship that year with one. So, in October 2014, although the WWE didn't actually give Pence one, wrestler Daniel Bryan lent Pence his own belt for the team's victory parade. And from there, it had become commonplace for athletes from a variety of sports to celebrate their accomplishments in their respective fields with a WWE title belt. Although the company had nothing to do with Iverson's belt, the WWE soon realized just how mutually beneficial producing ones for other sporting leagues could be. Not only did it give them the chance to fulfill numerous athletes' dreams of owning an authentic wrestling belt, as they had fantasized about as kids, but it also provided the WWE with the opportunity to generate significant publicity for the company. Unofficially, their belts have essentially become a second trophy for any and every sport on the planet, as it's often one of the most visible parts of a team's celebrations in recent years, so the company decided to make it official and collaborate with winning teams. And so, from 2015 onwards, when it came to the NBA, the WWE have routinely handed out title bouts to each year's champions.
And the dream season is now complete. The Golden State Warriors are the 2015 NBA champions. It's over! It's over! Cleveland is a city of champions once again!
I love this, by the way, if you can zoom in on the Cavaliers NBA champions.
One of the great playoff runs of all time is complete. There's the buzzer. There's a new dynasty in the NBA. There's a new NBA champion, and it's a team from Toronto, Canada. The Lakers conquer the bubble, and banner number 17 will soon hang in the rafters. The Bucks have done it. The long wait has ended after a half-century.
Although replica belts can be bought by fans, each team gets an authentic title, complete with the exact dimensions of the WWE belts, with custom team side plates and 383 cubic zirconia jewels. Ironically, because the tradition started with the 2015 NBA champs, the Warriors, the only team that got a belt in 2014 was the Heat, even though it was in fact the Spurs who were that year's champions. Also, rather than hand out a belt for every member of a championship team like Miami got, the WWE now only produces a single belt per team, which the players share between them. This has more to do with the process that goes into producing the belts rather than the cost to make them, though they are each inherently valuable in their own right. In order to maximize exposure of the belts, the WWE give themselves just hours to produce the item in order for it to be ready in time to be part of the team's respective celebrations over the coming days. The tradition has proved to be incredibly positive for all involved. Most of the current sports stars grew up watching the WWE's rise in popularity in the late 90s and early 2000s. And even now that they've made it in their respective fields, they still look to WWE stars for inspiration. From the WWE's perspective, athletes grew up wanting to be successful in a respective sport, and part of that success comes with a larger-than-life mentality and the idea of being a celebrity and entertainer, which is ingrained in their childhood due to their love of wrestling. Additionally, the WWE has found that there's a kinship between athletes across all sports. While the general public often have dismissive attitudes towards wrestlers because the matches are staged, most professional athletes appreciate what it actually takes to succeed in the WWE, as performers are required to be in phenomenal shape, even if they don't look it, and willing to put their bodies on the line for the amusement of strangers. And there's no off-season in the WWE. After receiving a belt, pretty much anyone and everyone associated with a team wants their picture taken with it, ranging from players and team officials to the average fan to A-list celebrities. Some teams even treasure the belts as if they were actual official league titles, putting them on display behind glass in locker rooms. Alternatively, some teams use it as motivation, handing it out weekly to players who perform best at various drills or win contests during practice. The Raptors even once used the belt to savage their opposition. In February 2020, Canadian rapper Drake showed up with the belt to a match against the Bucks to remind Milwaukee that the Raptors had eliminated them on Toronto's way to their 2019 championship. The Raptors mascot also gloated with some belts of his own. Unfortunately, following the 1920 season, the Raptors then began to struggle, while the Bucks went on and won the 2021 championship. Although that suggests that the belts may in fact be detrimental to a team, the Raptors' subsequent struggles probably have more to do with the Drake curse than anything else, which indicates that he's nothing but cancer for whichever team he's claiming to support that week. Strangely, as of November 2022, it doesn't appear as though the WWE have handed out a belt to this year's champions, the Warriors, meaning that only the Hawks received a belt for the 21-22 season, which they received before any games had even been played and was part of a merchandise cross-promotion for the team and the WWE. Not that the Warriors need any more belts, given that they already have 3. What began as a simple gesture to fulfill a childhood dream quickly evolved into a cultural phenomenon and annual tradition. Initially, the WWE handed out their belts to various championship teams quietly with little to no media attention. But the players' response, coupled with the public's awe when they found out, was so intense that the company couldn't pass up such a mutually beneficial opportunity to celebrate the WWE and sports in general. Soon, it became commonplace to see the custom-made belts front and center at a team's championship parade and various other celebrations. The belts have proven to be so popular that even if Rashid hadn't handed his out in 2004, they probably would have still eventually become a trend among non-wrestler athletes anyway. Still, it's important to note that in Rashid's case, he personally paid for each and every one of the belts, of which there were many. And while the WWE belts are, at their core, a smart business move, Rashid's gifts were a genuine gesture of gratitude, celebration, and unity between those who received one.
According to Rasheed Wallace, we are the champions. Somebody is going to have to take it from us.
God bless and good night.